Welcome to my channel. I'm Scott, and in this video I am going to walk you through the process of valuing Petco's stock by analyzing their financial statements and dissecting their financial ratios so we can determine if it's a buy or a sell. Petco is a pet retailer. It has 1,500 Petco stores across the US, Mexico, and Puerto Rico. The stores sell pet food, pet supplies, small animals, and fish. Some stores offer services such as obedience training, dog grooming, pet vaccinations, veterinary care, and also hosting adoption events. There are stores called Unleashed by Petco. Those are smaller stores that do not sell live animals. The company also owns PetCoach app, PetInsuranceQuotes.com, and VitalCare, a subscription service for veterinary care. The baseball team, the San Diego Padres, their stadium is named Petco Park. In June 2018, Ron Coughlin, a veteran Hewlett-Packard and Pepsi executive, took over as CEO. The Petco Foundation is an independent nonprofit organization. It has raised more than $200 million since it was created in 1999 to help promote and improve the welfare of companion animals. It spends more than $30 million to support this cause annually. Petco and the Petco Foundation work with and support thousands of local animal welfare groups across the country to host in-store adoption events and help find homes for adoptable dogs, cats, and other companion animals. The foundation also supports spay and neuter efforts, animal assistant therapy programs, and education about the humane treatment of animals. The company is headquartered in San Diego, California, and was founded in 1965. It trades on the NASDAQ and Mexican Bolsa. Let's get started with the model. This is a mid-cap company, 5.2 billion market cap. They're trading at $20 a share, and they have 264 million shares outstanding. Let's look at their financials. The way you value a company is you estimate the free cash flows into the future, and then you discount those numbers back to today's value. That's what we're doing in this video. And free cash flow is cash flow from operations minus capital expenditures. So they did have negative free cash flow in 2019, but positive in the other years. It was the highest in the trailing 12 months at $128 million. Net income is the profit or loss on the income statement. It's revenue minus expenses. And that's negative every year except in the trailing 12 months. It's a positive $126 million. Revenue is the sales for the company, and that's up over $1 billion from 2019 to the trailing 12 months. It's the highest ever at $5.6 billion. This is the company's income statement. The top line is the revenue, the sales. Below that is the cost of revenue. These are the expenses directly related to generating the revenue. Revenue minus cost of revenue gives you your gross profit. And below that is their operating expenses. These are all the expenses not directly related to generating the revenue. Gross profit minus operating expenses gives you your operating income. And that grew from $158 million to $250 million. And they do have positive operating income every year, so that's a good sign. It looks like they have a lot of debt. They pay a lot of interest on their debt, but it was a lot lower in the trailing 12 months compared to 2021. And the bottom line of the income statement is their net income, which was negative every year except in the trailing 12 months. So they have positive net income because they paid so much less interest on their debt, over $100 million less than in prior years. And the reason their net income was so poor in 2019 was this large negative $370 million in other income and expenses. That's probably an impairment, like a goodwill impairment or an asset impairment. Other income and expenses are all the gains and losses not tied to their day-to-day operations. For example, if they sell an asset or write down the goodwill on their balance sheet. You can also have gains in other income and expenses if you sell an asset for a profit. They do have some gains and losses from equity interest. This is their investments in other companies. Generally, if you own between 20% and 50% of another company, you would use equity method accounting. This is the income statement from the latest quarterly report. This shows us the trailing 9 months of 2020, the trailing 9 months of 2021, and the trailing 3 months of 2020, and the trailing 3 months of 2021. Their revenue went up about $200 million from the third quarter of 2020 to the third quarter of 2021. $1.4 billion of revenue. Here's a breakdown of their revenue, and it goes up in every category. The most was consumables, 530 million to 640 million. An example of consumables are pet food. Supplies and companion animals went up from 600 million to 635 million. Example are selling leashes or the actual animals. And services and other went from 130 million to 165 million. Examples of this are veterinary care. They also grew a lot in the trailing 9 months in each category. Below sales are the cost of sales. Examples are the cost of labor, the cost of the products, also the rent at each store. And they have positive gross profit every year. Below that is selling, general, and administrative expenses. These are all the costs not directly tied to selling the product or providing the service. This includes salary of support functions like HR, marketing. This is rent for the corporate office. Rent for the stores goes in the cost of sales. Also advertising and marketing materials. They do have positive operating income, and it grew from 46 million to 62 million. They paid down a lot of debt. The interest on their debt in the third quarter of 2020 was 54 million. It's down to 19 million. The company did mention the reason they IPO'd was to pay down debt, and that's exactly what they did. They have pre-tax income of 63 million. Last year was negative 8 million. Taxes of 14 million in the third quarter of 2021. Last year they had a tax credit of 8 million. They did have a gain in 2020 of 2.1 million because of the tax credit. But this year it's a big gain of 52 million. This is the company's statement of cash flows. The top line is operating cash flow. That's how much cash the company generates from its operational business. You could think of operating cash flow as net income converted to cash, because net income is your accounting profit or loss. It's not actual cash. And they spend a good amount of capex each year, 150 million to 230 million dollars a year. Every time they open up a store, the cost of that store goes into capex, and that's depreciated over time onto its income statement. Operating cash flow minus capex gives you your free cash flow. And that was negative in 2020, positive in the other years. They raised 936 million from their IPO this year, and they used that money to pay down debt. That's why the interest payments on their debt are so much lower in 2021 than 2020. And you can see in 2019 and 2020, they were just rolling their debt. They were issuing a similar amount as they were paying down. This is their operating cash flows from their quarterly report. This is the 9 months ending 10/31/2020 and the 9 months ending 10/31/21. The way to calculate operating cash flow, you start with your net income or net loss, then you have to add or subtract the non-cash items on the income statement, then adjust for changes in working capital. So they reported net income of 133 million. We add back the depreciation and amortization, the equity-based compensation. We pass through a gain on equity method accounting. We have to minus that out here on the statement of cash flows. This $315 million operating lease cost, that's a wash for this section because they minus that dollar amount here on the operating lease liabilities. They purchased $106 million of inventory. That's a cash outflow. Even though they reported an accounting gain of 133 million, they actually generated 288 million of cash flow. Last year they reported an accounting loss, but generated over 200 million of cash flow. Here's the investing and financing section. In the investing section, they invested 164 million in fixed assets. These are all the assets to build out their stores. And it looks like they acquired a company. They paid 3.5 million. In their investing section, they had a cash outflow of 168 million. Last year was a cash outflow of 95 million. They added 1.7 billion of debt, and they paid down 1.7 billion of debt. They have to pay fees to the banks and other parties when they take on debt. That was 25 million. In their financing section, they had a cash outflow of 15 million. Last year was a cash outflow of 51 million. This is the equity section on their 1031 balance sheet. They have 2.2 billion of equity. And sometimes companies add additional classes of common stock, and those classes tend to have more voting shares. This way the owners or executives of the company retain voting power. They raised 2.1 billion from selling their business, and they profited 113 million from running their business. Let's look at their capital structure. They have 2.2 billion of equity, 3 billion of debt. They're 42% equity, 58% debt. And I gave them the highest whack on Finbox, 10.5%, and that's a discount rate we're going to apply to the future cash flows. We estimated 4 years of future free cash flows. We also estimated a terminal value, which is all cash flows past year 4, that's 8.2 billion. We discounted those numbers back to today's new weighted average cost of capital. We get a value of the company of $6.4 billion. We divide that by 264 million shares. And we get a calculated stock price of $24. They're trading at $20, so they're trading at a 19% discount. It's a buy according to the model. Their annual revenue is projected to grow 5.9%. So I grew their revenue 5.9% for the next few years. That's how I got their future revenue estimates. To get their future free cash flows, I need to see what percent of their revenue they convert to free cash flow. Since their numbers are not consistent, I use the industry average of 9%. So I multiply their 2024 revenue by 9%. That's how I got their future free cash flows for 2024. For 2023, I multiplied their revenue by 6%, and for 2022, I multiplied it by 3%. So it definitely seems like there could be some upside with this stock, especially now that they have positive net income because they pay down a lot of their debt. Simply Wall Street's lower than me. They're at $21 a share. They're saying it's 6.4% undervalued. 8 analysts priced this stock and the average price target is $28. This is where the stock has been trading since it IPO'd. When it first started trading, it broke through $30. Then just after 2 months, it dropped below $18. And then it came all the way back up to about $28. There was a ton of buying activity at this point. I think that has something to do with Petco Park. I can't remember the exact story, but I remember reading something about Petco Park in June. There was a big gap down here. There was a lot of selling activity for a few days, and the stock seems to be at a low point. I do think there's a good chance it's going to go lower. That's just a guess from how the market perceives these types of stocks. But it could be a good stock in the long run. It's just really hard to tell at this point. If they load up on debt like they did in the past, that could really hurt the company. The stock is down 33% in the past 52 weeks, while the S&P is up 27%. The 52-week low is 18, the high is 31. And the stock is on a decline, trading below its 50-day and 200-day moving average. Almost 2 million shares are traded each day on this stock. 62% of the shares are held by institutions, and it has a really high short percentage. Nearly 24% of the shares on float are shorted. Their employee count has gone up a little bit in the past year. They currently employ 27,000 people. If you invested $10,000 into this company when they IPO'd, you'd be at $6,700 today. That's a 33% loss. In the past 12 months, one insider sold 25 million shares. Then a few insiders have been buying the stock. All the selling activity is by Scooby Aggregator. This is a fund in San Francisco. But there's been a lot of insider buying activity. When an insider buys, you know it's because they think the price will go up. When an insider sells, you don't really know the reason they're selling. They might think the price will go down, or they just may need money for another investment, or maybe they have too much money invested in this company and they have to diversify. 70% of Petco is owned by private companies, 30% by institutions. The big shareholder is Scooby Aggregator at almost 70%. Then Vanguard, Allspring, Healthcore, and JP Morgan. Let's look at their financial ratios. Their PE is a bit high at 41. Their price to sales is really good at 0.9. That means their revenue is higher than their market cap. And their price to book is pretty good at 2.3. Here's a list of their non-current assets. Their fixed assets minus depreciation are $680 million. $1.4 billion of operating lease right-of-use assets. $2.2 billion of goodwill, so they acquire a lot of companies. $1 billion by trade name, this is another intangible asset. And $219 million of other long-term assets. They have a low return on invested capital of only 4%. They can cover their interest payments more than 2 times. Their ROE is 6%. Their current ratio is a little below 1. And they have a really low quick ratio of 0.3. Quick ratio is current assets minus inventory. You take that number and divide by their current liabilities. Here's a list of their current assets. $220 million of cash, $45 million of receivables. This is how much other companies owe Petco. They're always going to have lots of inventory at any given time. They have $644 million of inventory, $38 million of prepaid expenses, and $41 million of other. Here's their current liabilities, $380 million of accounts payable. This is how much Petco owes other companies. $159 million accrued salaries, $214 million of accrued expenses, $256 million of operating lease liabilities. This is the rent they owe at their stores. And $20 million of short-term debt. They generated $128 million of free cash flow in the trailing 12 months. They have negative $42 million of working capital. Working capital is current assets minus current liabilities. So they do have $86 million of funding. So they may be able to get through the next 12 months without adding any more debt. The best way to look at ratios is to compare them to companies in the same industry. There are 56 companies in the same industry as Petco. And Petco is right here, and the average is right here. A debt-to-equity ratio of 1 to 1.5 is considered good. They're at 1.4, so that's good, which is better than their industry average. They don't pay a dividend. The average company brings in $250 million of cash flow. They're at $128 million. The average market cap is $5.8 billion. They're at $5.2 billion. These are the top 20 companies in their industry by market cap. They rank 15th. Their price to book is a lot better than average. Their price to earnings is much worse than average. Their price to free cash flow is also worse than average. They have one of the best price to sales ratios on this list at 0.9. The average is 6.3, so they're doing really good in that category. Their revenue is $5.6 billion, which is better than an average of $4.7 billion. We can't look at their annual growth the past 5 years because we don't have all the data. A return of asset above 5% is considered good. They're at 2%. The average is 5%. An ROE above 15% is considered good. They're at 6%. But their industry average is negative 3%. So they are doing better than their industry. But you can see the ROEs are all over the place in this industry. So to summarize, I have them trading at a 19% discount. And we love our pets pretty much more than anything else. So that's why companies like Petco can be successful, because not only are we going to buy dog food and leashes and all that stuff, we make sure their medical needs are taken care of. So this could be a really good investment as long as the company continues running their business successfully and they don't get into too much debt like they did before. And this is the type of company lots of people feel good about buying, especially pet owners. I rank their free cash flow as 5 out of 10, their revenue 7 out of 10, and their ratio is 4 out of 10. So let me know what you think. Give this video a like, subscribe, or comment below. Also, if you'd like to get a custom valuation or just support the channel, you can become a member by clicking on the link in the description below. Thanks for watching.